Hello, and welcome to the last in this series of the 7 generations alive today. In these series of generations, Uranus has made a complete cycle winding up back in Aries. The Depression babies will experience Uranus' return as they settle into the role of the Ancient Ones. In the indigenous world, they would have been sought out for wisdom. In this world, they are shipped off to somewheres invisible from the world that worships the young, the rich, and the famous. The World War II gang is a memory, so the Depression babies are the only ones that remember a world before the flower child changed it all. As with all the generations, they are split between the liberals and the conservatives. All those alive will experience all the 4 outer planets in aspect with their natal planets. It is interesting that it only took less than 90 years for Pluto to move to its opposition, when the entire cycle takes 224 years. This means that the second half of the cycle will take over 130 years. Quite a difference due to the eccentric orbit that it takes. As mentioned, Uranus returns to its natal position in Aries. Pluto will be in Capricorn in opposition to its natal Cancer position. Neptune will also experience this opposition in Pisces. Saturn will experience the 3rd natal conjunction. Once again, in this script, there is a square between Uranus and Aries to Pluto, this time in Capricorn. This is the Oedipus complex, dealing with the fight between the father and control and the son. Can the son castrate the father and take the role as the boss? Just as in Germany was kidnapped by the Nazis, the American empire was kidnapped by a conservative group unleashing Trump onto the world. Pluto in Capricorn is the agent that will transmute the Aries energy into its opposite, Libra. Again, through the obsession with control and Capricorn, this will supply the transmuting energy of Aries and war into peaceful negotiations. The concept of might is right must end if humanity is to survive. People only kill others in war when they can detach from any feelings. Nationalism and religion makes it possible to stop having any feelings for potential enemies. This must go if humanity is going to stop war. Anything that separates us must go if war is to be stopped. As with the case with the Depression babies, this cycle starts in Yin, meaning that Parzival is in need of nurturing as a result of fear. Cancer, once again. They must learn that there is nothing to fear but fear itself. This generation must take up the sword to castrate the father or governing force, removing them from the leadership of the world. However, the father in this case has the police. Taking up armies would play into their hands, as they have the technology to terminate any revolution. Again, might is right no longer has any place in this new paradigm. Recall, what is the beast? It is money. The beast needs to be constantly fed. More money. The only way to kill the beast is to stop using their money. Their money only has value if people use it. Their empire goes tumbling down when they don't. This is very scary in societies which continues to believe in right as might, or last man standing. It is interesting to think that Trump is a catalyst for change. His program was to make America great again, to return to the world of the founding fathers where white rich men rule. Trump has a certain charisma which appeals to people that easily believe in the lies of Fox News. It didn't matter that he was a habitual liar. Enough looked to him as an avatar that will rescue America from the clutches of the left. So all people of color and those that didn't have Christian values were introduced to increased fear. It's common knowledge that politicians lie, but Trump's lies were on all fronts, even trivial and easily disproved. It didn't matter to his followers and unfortunately to most of the press. There was a number of openings to the Supreme Court, and despite much protest, the conservative Republican Senate confirmed their appointments, meaning that the body was strongly in their corner. Checks and balances were thrown out the window. Mass killings by white people were becoming a monthly happening, as well as people of color being killed by white police were clearly showing where the sickness in society was. However, the conservatives ignored these facts and continued to blame the liberals for all the problems in the world. The QAnon conspiracy became mainstream and was the banner for the conservatives. Even though every prediction did not come true, it remained highly believed. A TV news documentary showed that the one given the predictions was based in the Philippines. However, it continued to be believed. Since it supported Trump, he wouldn't go on record to condemn its content. This led to the attempted coup at the Capitol. Saturn conjuncting Pluto in 2020 marks the cusp in Uranus and Aries going into Taurus. This is the third conjunction of these two deadly planets. The first, 1946-7, was the release of deadly weapons and fulfillment of other prophecies, leading to a choice between good and evil, no gray. The forces of ice and collectivism was gaining hold in its attempts to put out the force of fire and the death of Samson. The second conjunction in 1982 ushered in the end of the Cold War and the beginning of the one against the many, and the stage set for the final battle of Armageddon. The beast, money, was released, marking the paradigm that must end if humanity is to survive. The third conjunction in Capricorn occurred on the midheaven and is the energy that will bring on the transmutation from Aries to Libra, the end of right as might. Trump is the agent that will somehow bring on this transmutation. Pluto works by bringing situations to its maximum to the point where the opposite emerges. The symbol of the leader of fire against the world is someone totally addicted to the power of control. The outer layer of control has become so crusted with corruption, the only solution is acid to remove the crust and expose a new outer layer. Surgery is called for. Can humanity survive? Cancer, on the cusp of the fourth house, is the key to the script. In war, there must be a total lack of feelings. In fact, they must be subject to detachment. By the Parsifal maintaining feelings, they will lead him to choose Venus. Neptune in Pisces offers illusions of a better world and compassion to the downtrodden. However, if it's in fear, it will bring on illusions to support their fears. A new feminine mother is called for. Rather than being the responder, she must take an active role in curbing the masculine, which chooses right equals might, to the one where negotiations is the rule. She must learn to curb these thoughts and feelings in her children. As mentioned, in many households, children rule, and they are aggressive if they don't get their way. Somehow, the mother must learn to maintain control without using might. A difficult challenge indeed. The election of 2020 became a drama where Trump claimed he won with a landslide and wouldn't concede. With ammunition from QAnon and Trump, his faithful led a coup at the Capitol building in an attempt to overthrow the transfer of power from him to Biden and the Democrats. He was ready to lead the charge, but was confined by the Secret Service. 2020 also ushered in the COVID virus, giving the world a deadly pandemic. It crippled society all over the world, and people were forced to stay at home and learn to work there. This pandemic made irreversible changes in society. Many people died. However, to many, they claimed it was a hoax and refused to comply. People everywhere were refusing to believe anything, including global warming. As mentioned, they had strong arguments against this scientific paradigm that carbon dioxide was the major cause. As a result, the deniers were against anything scientific, including the value of COVID vaccinations. They were against all vaccinations as a result. Again, the split between the extremes, either none or all. In 2014, the U.S. engineered a coup overthrowing an elected government in the Ukraine, resulting in setting up a fascist regime that wanted to be part of NATO. There was no reason for the continued NATO army after the fall of communist Russia. However, it continued, and when Putin took over, he found out firsthand that the West, namely the U.S., was still fighting the Cold War. There were two provinces in East Ukraine that were mainly Russian and wanted to be part of Russia. The government harassed these provinces, and as a result, Russia invaded Ukraine with the attempt to put an end to this regime and annex these provinces. Once again, Russia demonstrated her weakness as a country on offense. The U.S. poured billions of dollars into the Ukraine, ensuring a long-lasting proxy war. The propaganda machine was unleashed onto the American people, and the Ukraine flag was everywhere, and righteous indignation, they condemned Russia for their aggression actions. The evils of the war were shown in the media in an attempt to get the people approval for continued outpouring of military aid to the country. In the spring of 2022, Russia and the Ukraine government had a peace treaty ready to sign, but the U.S. vetoed it with the power of money withdrawal. The Democratic Party has shown its true nature as the party of war. The midterm elections resulted in the red flag being an illusion, and both houses remained nearly equal, ensuring gridlock except money for war. However, the Supreme Court is clearly conservative, and Roe versus Wade was overturned prohibiting abortion. It is just a matter of time before gay marriages is overturned. The Handmaid's Tale may not be fiction after all. The second half of this generation features the Taurus script. We saw the harmonious flow from Capricorn to Taurus and the midpoint sign Pisces, heavily emphasized with Neptune and Saturn. All the negative aspects of illusions, drugs, etc. weigh high in the collective. Saturn and Neptune is a call for dreamers to bring their dreams onto the world so as to manifest a plan or blueprint for a new society. In all the generations alive today, their only hope is for the feminine to take an active or yang role and lead a peaceful revolution, overturning all governments and bringing sanity back into the world. I hope you enjoyed this series of 7 generations alive today. I pray for a better future reality, and I wish you all to be happy.